Initiative. It's a pleasure to be here today. This is the agenda we're going to follow in this launch event. So we're going to start with a short introduction to the open-seneca initiative. And then Anna Koenig, Mayor of Stockholm, is going to give a talk about why she chose to work with us in Stockholm. And we're going to then do an overview of what's happened until now, just show some snapshots of the story of where we came from and how we got here. And we have a series of talks to finish with the official launch of the data collection and the start of the implementation of this project, and then next steps, and especially engage all of you to be part of this project. So first of all, a few facts, and I don't know if everyone is aware, but did you know that there is about 7 million deaths attributed to air pollution every year, both indoors and outdoors air quality? And it's not actually only linked to respiratory diseases, but it's also linked to cardiovascular and stroke with high percentage. So pollution has a very high impact on health. From all these pollutants, particulate matter, which is very small particles in the air, are the ones with the highest risk on human health. And if you see particulate matter or long-term exposure to particulate matter has an effect on the life expectancy of people everywhere in the world. And you can see that it has a bigger impact than actually other activities like smoking or consumption of alcohol and drugs, or even other diseases such as malaria or HIV. Particulate matter are particles that are very small. So as a comparison, this is a hair, and we categorize particulate matter, we call it PM. 2.5 would be smaller than 2.5 micrometers in diameter. PM10 is 10 micrometers in diameter. And you can see next to a fine beach sand or a human hair, how small these particles are. And the reason why these particles are a risk for our health is that they are so small that they can get into our lungs. So depending on the sizes, they can travel farther away into the lungs. And even when they are small enough, into the bloodstream. On top of it, PM 2.5 particularly has been related to COVID mortality. And it's really important to act on this, because even only an increase of 1 microgram per cubic meter, so a very small change in concentration, can already have a big effect of what's the mortality of a particular disease, infectious disease. So it's really important to do any step we can do to reduce the concentration of these particles in the air, and it would already have huge impact on improving our health. So at open-seneca, we have a network of low-cost mobile sensors that we can give to citizens, and they can move around the city and map the streets and the air quality street by street level while they commute on the city. And with this, we can create maps with a very high resolution, and that can help also inform policy and urban planning development to build healthier cities. We have a very modular sensor that can be, you can get in a kit and you could assemble yourself at home, or you could get one ready to go. And it's a very small sensor, very easy to mount on bikes or any other means of transport. And you can see the air quality levels, particulate matter levels live as you commute, and then check them out later as well. So what we can do is that you can visualize the air you breathe both at the individual level. So we have a smartphone app where each person can see the routes and how that looks like, and which parts of the route had higher levels of pollution and which one were hotspots. And then you can also help go deeper into that route and try to figure out what happens. And you can also display other values. So we also measure temperature and humidity. But when you identify a hotspot, you could actually go, we use a very Google Maps platform that people are familiar with, and you can actually go into the source of the problem and try to understand what's the source and try to figure out what can be done to reduce that source of pollution. but we don't only map at the city level, at the individual level, but also at the city level. So when enough of people are commuting and cycling and carrying distances around the city, then we can create these anonymized aggregated maps that show a city. This is the case of Buenos Aires, where you can find the hotspots of the areas that are consistently always above the baseline of the city. They are always more polluted than others. And those are the areas that we need to prioritize resources on and think of solutions. And we can have, the more people we have thinking about solutions and taking action at the individual and the city level, the better we can build a healthier city. So this is what open-seneca does. That's the aim of the open-seneca initiative. And how did we get to Stockholm? So we were one of the winners among the other projects, weve and Clarity Movement, of the Women for Climate Tech Challenge, the 2020 edition, with C40 cities and sponsored by Velux. And our project got selected by the city of Stockholm and Lisbon as well. So with this, I wrap up this short introduction, and I would like to now leave the floor to Anna Koenig, Mayor of Stockholm, so she can tell us a few words about why she decided to work with open-seneca and why is this important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena, and dear open-seneca team and dear Stockholmers, and I'm really delighted to be here today for this launch. Because since the launch of the second edition of the Women for Climate Tech Challenge during the C40 May Summit in Copenhagen in 2019, humanity has undeniably seen some severe challenges. And it has been a difficult time when we all have to deal with the loss of friends and families. And it's been a time when we all have to rethink how we live and how we work. And for me, as a mayor of Stockholm, it's also been a time to reflect on how we, as a city, work to tackle society challenges. And one thing that we have learned during the last year is that tackling a pandemic efficiently has required the collaboration of a broad range of stakeholders. And without the involvement of all parts of society, citizens, businesses, and of course, academia, we would definitely have seen us hit the crisis much harder. So while we hope to see the end of the spread of the COVID-19 during the coming years, there are unfortunately other crises that still has to be tackled. And I'm thinking about the threats that climate change poses to all societies around the world. And I'm thinking about the poor air quality caused by burning fossil fuel, a real and tangible threat. That, according to WHO, causes over 7 million deaths a year. So how could we tackle these huge challenges that exist in cities all around the world? Inspired what we have learned tackling the pandemic, my short answer is collaboration. Working together with a wide range of stakeholders, co-creating solutions, using cities as testbed is the shortcut to find innovative ways to improve the air we breathe. Cities, entrepreneurs, innovators, citizens group, investors, we all represent different parts of society and bring different perspectives, of which all are needed. This was obviously when tackling the pandemic and should be obvious when it comes to a wide range of challenges we face as a society. And therefore, I'm very happy to have a collaborative approach and with this environmental program that we have in Stockholm, but of course also our climate action plan. Working with C40 on Women for Tech Climate Challenges was therefore fully in line with our commitments. Signing up to participate in 2019, we were sure that it would contribute to celebrating women-led climate innovation and tackling our challenges simultaneously. And dear Lorena, dear open-seneca team, what you have done, what you do, is something that complete and complement the city air quality work perfectly. Your innovative approach involving citizens, asking them to co-create science with you, is something that I'm sure that we will be able to raise awareness of air quality issues in cities around the world. And also gathering data and to make sure that we as politicians also can bring better policies. And I am so thrilled that your pilot is being launched here in Stockholm. And I'm really looking forward to taking part in the results later this year. But I would also love to be a volunteer. And I heard that one of the sensors is actually coming to me. So I'm thrilled to be part of this test bed. So I want to end by sending a big thank you to the open-seneca team, of course C40 for arranging the Women for Climate Tech Challenge, and to all the inspiring women innovators that took part of the challenge. I am confident that your solutions will make our city greener and more livable. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such an inspiring talk and for giving us the opportunity to work with you and be part of this collaborative network to help improve the air in the city and start doing climate action. Now, I would like to show you a little bit what we've done so far, like where this initiative started from, and what's happened in Stockholm until now, until we're ready to start the data collection. So we have some snapshots of what's happened that I hope you'll enjoy to follow our story until now. So it all started playing around with a bunch of electronics that didn't look really nice and caused some trouble. So we ended up really working on the design, and we've had some Nairobi prototypes and then Argentina prototype until we got to this current smaller, easy to carry, user-friendly design. We were ready to pack everything, very excited to be able to ship this to Stockholm. And we had 55 sensors traveling to Stockholm, ready to get there. And since then, we've had a lot of volunteers signing up, over 150. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm and wanting to participate in workshops to be able to assemble their own sensor, their own air quality, both in person, like these snapshots you're seeing now, and also from home. So opening your own pack and trying to figure out with some Cathy help how you can assemble your own sensor. Also with friends, and started some nice discussions about air quality. And then the first sensor are out there, and we are very excited to be able to share this with you. So it was just a quick snapshot about what's happened, and now we'll give the floor back to all the different speakers we have to you today. And I'll start with Dr. Lucy Mauney from C40 Cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorena. Thank you. City-inspired innovation is crucial to accelerate the reduction of global greenhouse gas emissions. And technology and data are key agents to create and accelerate sustainable change in cities while meeting the goals of the Paris Agreement. Cities are the frontrunners in the field of climate mitigation and adaptation, and places where innovation happens. Using all of the talent across a city to tackle the climate emergency is crucial in the delivery of just and inclusive climate action. Women are largely underrepresented in the field of climate, entrepreneurship, and in STEM. And in the combined science, technology, engineering, and mathematics sector, women only represent 17% of employees, 4% of software engineers, and 1% of leadership positions. Only 3% of venture capital partners are women. Just 14% of startup investors are women. And research shows that startups led by men receive over 16 times more funding than those led by women. Survey data suggests that this disparity is gender-based. Inequities in research, STEM, and startups represent a significant barrier to developing inclusive climate responses. They need to be addressed with tailored actions and tools to break down the barriers women meet in venture capital and startup creation. When women have the chance to innovate, invent, and lead, our economies and environment are improved. So on behalf of C40 and the Women for Climate team, I would like to say congratulations to open-seneca, not only on winning the C40 Women for Climate Tech Challenge, but also for such an inspiring and exciting launch event today. This is a concept that every city should be interested in. It is inspiring because it's inclusive and empowering to citizens. And by including people, we secure public buy-in to measures that then can open doors to more ambitious, accelerated action, and potentially to some more controversial ideas. It gets the community talking, and the people involved will then tell their friends and family, who will then pass on the message. So this is a super smart way to get people engaged and to communicate ambitious climate action. The world faces enormous climate and public health challenges, particularly around inactivity and exposure to poor air quality. So it's exciting that this initiative aims to tackle these challenges while including people in the research and data collection process. So open-seneca, keep up the inspiring work, keep on developing these brilliant, game-changing solutions, and let us all know how we can continue to play a part in your journey. Congratulations again, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. We are very excited to be part of inspiring different citizens and stakeholders towards this common aim that we all care that deeply about. And we do think that that's what's keeping us our enthusiasm going, is seeing all the contributions from different citizens and different sectors and the cities all coming together to work on this. And with this, I would like to let Dr. Matias Acosta, now our next speaker, to tell us a few words about how this project, so we had a previous pilot in Buenos Aires and in Argentina. So tell us a little bit what we could expect from this project, what happened in Buenos Aires, what was the experience?
Great. Thank you very much, Lorena, and thank you for receiving me here. Also, Mayor Anna Koenig and Stockholmers that I'm seeing this. And thank you to open-seneca in general as well. So before I start to put it in perspective, see these comments also from someone with a background in engineering and someone that actually volunteered in this organization as well. And so basically, the experience, it was very, very nice in the sense that first, the ensembling, these sensors, putting them together with university students from different backgrounds that they didn't know themselves. It was a very nice experience. Approximately 100 students in 2 national universities in Argentina were part of that. We, at that time, put together 20 sensors approximately, and then doing the quality test of them with local scientists, and then going into the adventure of seeing whether there was or not attraction and interest, let's say, in the citizens for this, when putting them in their bikes. That was actually also very exciting, I would say. And the interesting aspect was, like, at that time, it was rather new, the project, so we didn't know what to expect, particularly a very different context, as you can imagine, Latin America from that of the UK, or Nairobi, that was sort of partially taking place at the time. And it was very, very welcomed. And not only was welcome actually by the citizens, but also by the national government, both the former and the current national government. Many cities are now also involved, working towards expanding the project, and more citizens are also getting involved. So it's very exciting to start seeing the results. It's too early stage still in Argentina, I would say, for making some concrete policy decisions, but this is the whole spirit, right? And this is where we are working for and building the spirit together with national and local governments in Argentina. At the end of the day, and just to conclude, not to expand too much, what I feel it's really important about this project is really the power of conviction and motivation for a good cause. And this actually, at the end of the day, it's coming from everyone. It's coming first from open-seneca, that at least at the time when we starting doing this, they were all volunteers themselves. The volunteers that are ensembling the sensors, the volunteers that are measuring after, and the policymakers that at the end of the day, they were volunteering when they jump into something that was quite innovative and at least unexpected for the current state at the time in Argentina. So keep on with the power of conviction, keep on with that energy, motivation, and keep on expanding this and working together with people to combat climate change and air quality. I think it's a great project, and I'm sure it will be keep on growing as well.
Thank you, Matthias. It's been amazing to see how in Argentina the census have been moved from city to city and allowing more and more citizens to be part of the project, and there's still plans to grow, and we do think that this could happen as well in Stockholm and Sweden. And actually, as we'll show later on in the event, there's been an overwhelming response from interest, and it's really inspiring to see that everyone is interested in this and we can all work together to find the right solutions. With this, I would like to give the floor to Victor from Cykelvänligast. He's going to tell us a little bit more about his work and his campaign Up for Cycling, and how actually Stockholmers can get involved and think of taking action and change, make a difference themselves. Your floor.
Thank you, Lorena, and thanks again for having us on board this important project. My name is Victor Nordal Bäcklund, and I work at the Stockholm Administration for Environment and Health. Having founded the initiative Cykelvänligast, which is a regional, soon to be national, hopefully, initiative to promote cycling, I am personally very proud to be part of this project that encourages citizens to think again about our common air quality and the potential for change in my beloved hometown of Stockholm. If this is the first time you hear about Cykelvänligast, let me just briefly explain to you what it's all about. But first, let us put things in perspective. Did you know that about half of our daily trips are less than 10 kilometers long? Or to bring it closer to home, did you know that 70% of people in the Stockholm region could potentially cycle to work in less than 30 minutes once the infrastructure is put in place? I think that's incredible news, don't you? What we at Cykelvänligast aims to do is to raise the awareness of the benefits of cycling on a regular basis, commuting to work being an obvious place to start for us. WHO recommends a minimum of 30-minute exercise a day, something that can be well fulfilled by simply commuting to work, or differently. We provide a ranking system, competitions, and active coaching to our members to help companies improve. And as of today, we have more than 50 companies in the region willing to step up for cycling. So if you're listening and your workplace is not yet on board, I strongly encourage you to convince your boss to join. We actually have a form just for that. So just visit cykelvänligast.se and I think you will figure out the rest. And I'm really happy to take any questions from managements at workplaces to further tell about the great benefits of joining Cykelvänligast. So thank you very much, and I hope to hear from all of you soon.
Thank you, Victor. So this is one of the multiple ways, but this is probably the easiest way that you can already start thinking about what can you do at a personal level to improve, reduce emissions, reduce your own exposure. But with this as well, I would like to welcome Daniel Thomas. He is one of our first and keenest volunteers of the open-seneca initiative. And he's going to share with us some of his experiences being a volunteer and what can you do when you are seeing the data around you and how the air quality looks like.
Okay, thank you for having me. So I'm going to tell you a story about the kind of policy impact that having this kind of data can have. And this story comes from Inverness, which is a small city in the Highlands of Scotland. It's quite a low population density area. This is the only city in the Highlands. And you might think that it being a small city, not much industry or anything like that around, that you would have not have much of a pollution problem. But the Highland Cycling Campaign wanted to find out whether or not there was a problem and what sources of pollution there might be in Inverness. And they had some of the rather older sensors that don't look quite as shiny as the new ones that Stockholm's getting. But they also collected the same kind of data. And what mapping that has been able to show is that a key hotspot in Inverness was at the train station. And you might think, well, trains are pretty green. What's the problem with pollution at the train station? But Inverness is a terminus station, so there's no through trains. All the trains stop at Inverness. And the trains that run there are old diesel trains, the trains that no one else on the network wants anymore. Inverness being a bit out of the way. And because they're so old, the trains have to run for an hour or so before they're actually able to go because the engine needs to warm up. And they also need to be on if they want to clean the train. And this means that sometimes there are several trains with very old diesel engines running for hours all through the day. And this causes this pollution problem that the Highland Cycling Campaign was able to show by collecting this data. And there are ways to actually reducing this pollution, because at Inverness Station, they do actually have the ability to plug in trains when they're at the station, so that when you're just cleaning the train, you don't need to leave the engine running. And that has the potential to significantly reduce the pollution that they're having at the station. And as a result of having this data, they were able to push the station management to actually use their existing facilities to reduce the length of time that these diesel trains were running on the station, and hopefully therefore reduce pollution. Now, getting management to actually change behaviour is a bit more difficult than you might like, but this evidence was a really key part in their ability to make the argument at all in the first place. And I think there has been some level of improvement as a result. But yes, it's really fun using this data, and we've got some of these sensors in Glasgow, and we've been mapping evolution there as well.
Thank you, Daniel. This train story is actually one of the ones we find the most inspiring. It was one of the early stages, the very first sensor, back then called comeback sensor. And it really shows that every single one of us can make a difference. And we just need to first identify where are the problems that we might not even know they exist. And then all of us can think of solutions. We need to work collaboratively. And the more people get involved in this, the more people can put their minds working and start thinking about what can be done, and actually figure out that a train station might be a problem, and there might be such a simple solution as getting to plug the trains and reduce that diesel engines pollution coming out. It's one of these inspiring stories, and we are hoping in Stockholm now to get many more of them and get people excited about this and really feel that we all can do something about this, from changing our route to work, from deciding to cycle to work and getting our workspace sign up with Cykelvänligas, for example, or collaborated in any of the projects. But there is a lot that we can do at the personal level and at the city level once we have enough data from the city, and we can all bring our own contribution to this. With this, this is a bit the aim of what we want to tell to all Stockholmers that are watching today is do sign up, if you're curious, if you have any interest, you don't need to know much about air pollution. You don't need to know much. You're going to be able to learn it. You're going to be able to figure out how the air looks like. And this is the most exciting part, is that we can all do something about it and build healthier cities. So I just wanted to show, so this is basically our aim. There is a very nice quote that we like from Margaret Lee Whitley that says, "There's no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." And that's what we're working for, is to let people discover that they care about this, that it's easy to do something, that you can get engaged in all the different phases of the project. You can get engaged from the design, you can get engaged from the assembly and building the sensor and learning a bit more about science. You can just put a sensor on your bike, or while you walk, or while you're cooking, and learn about the air you're breathing. But you can also get engaged at later stages of the project. Even if you didn't get a sensor, you can then look at these maps that are going to be publicly available, and you can help us find what are the issues and then think of solutions. And all of this knowledge together, not only the air quality data, but actually your input, is going to help inform policy at all levels, and it's going to help from industry, from the city, the government, all the different stakeholders. We had an overwhelming response in our open call for volunteers and test pilots, and we had over 150 responses. And this is just to show you a little bit where people commute. So we asked, where are people cycling from? So we're going to have a very good coverage of the city, and we're going to have people cycling from all the different outskirts parts into the city center every single day of the week. So we're very excited to launch this data collection and see what's going to be the results of what we see, where we're going to find hotspots, where we're going to find what we're going to identify the sources are. And I wanted to share a little bit from the open call for volunteers, what are some of the ideas of their motivation to join? What are your ideas, what your motivations to join? There's just like some insights, it's not direct quotes, but there is a general eagerness of very keen cyclists, very fast cyclers who cycle every single day, all year, no matter what the weather is, and they want to help, they want to contribute to this. A lot of people are curious about what the air would look like. What is it? You cycle a lot and you always wonder, am I breathing something that's healthy? Then there's researchers that are keen on helping the next level with the data, try to figure out what are the health impacts, effects of this air pollution. We have a lot of people that want to be part of this bigger project, and they want to contribute and help and make a better city. And a lot of interest as well, people interested in environment, in sustainable development, in traffic issues, in health issues, and they're curious to learn more or see how this data could help them to understand a bit more those topics. And I personally like as well, this is like, do we actually really know what's the air we breathe? Particles are not visible. It's been defined sometimes like the silent killer. You don't smell it either. So do we really know what's the air we're breathing? Let's figure out and let's start monitoring it and learn about it. So something I wanted to highlight for all Stockholmers watching today is that even if you didn't sign up or you didn't get a sensor, you can still contribute to this initiative. As I said, in the later stage of understanding the data and seeing what we can do and finding solutions. So in our app, we have the option of seeing your personal commutes. If you have a sensor, then you can find hotspots. But even if you don't have this, then what you can do in this case, for example, you could find a hotspot around the river and you would say, why? If I come from Cambridge and I see that, I wouldn't understand why there's a hotspot next to a river. It's a beautiful park. There shouldn't be any pollution there. But you are the ones that have the knowledge from your city. You are the ones who commute in there. You are the ones who understand and can bring meaning to this data. Only seeing a spike here doesn't tell much. But if you then can help us by reporting what's your experience, your subjective experience, what you feel, what you saw, and this can be done by everyone. You don't need a sensor for this. Then we can help understand much more. In this case, it was a riverboat that was burning coal. And you can see that very clearly cycling past, and you could report what happened there, pinpoint the location and say there was a severe pollution level, it was a riverboat burning coal. So if every single one of us contribute with this. And whenever we notice something, we just pass by a place, we can very easily report it, log it in, and all that information is going to help understand what's happening, is going to help identify solutions, and we can then all share and inspire others to do the same as we do. So yeah, with this, and these are the next steps. The data collection is officially starting after today's launch event. All the volunteers who sign up are going to be able to start collecting the sensors, start monitoring data, and I encourage everyone else just to let your friends know, inspire other people in your communities, because every single person that joins matters, and every single person can contribute, even if they don't get a sensor this time. So yeah, thank you very much. We're very excited to have this event today, and thank you to all the speakers, all the inspiring and amazing talks. And with this, we're going to conclude today's event. I would like to say for volunteers, we're going to have some, and after post-launch, small reception to get to know each other, so you can join the Zoom in about 20 minutes. But for everyone else, thank you so much for attending. I hope you enjoyed. And